In recent weeks, the conversation about NFL players kneeling for the national anthem has heated up. Following the president's outrageous comments, the discussion became front-page headlines. And I understand it's a touchy subject for a lot of people because politics these days is pretty touchy, but certain aspects of the way the media has handled the whole situation has been bothersome to me. Two things in particular that bothered me were how the media tried to misconstrue the protests in one way or another. The protests have been sensationalized by the media. On one hand, you have many people saying that the protests are disrespecting the military, which is partially true, but it doesn't paint the whole picture. While it is disrespectful to the military, the American flag doesn't only represent the military and people who have lost their lives. It represents everything about America, including free speech, which they're exercising by kneeling for the national anthem. On the other hand, you have many people saying that kneeling for the national anthem is an act of patriotism, which again is not true. Using that logic, you would say that any act of free speech is patriotic. Therefore, burning the flag would be the highest act of patriotism, which obviously isn't true. Having said all this, I'm of the opinion that politics should be kept out of sports, but considering the political climate that we live in, I think it's a good thing for these players to use their platform and draw attention to an issue that is very serious. And it is important to acknowledge that racial inequality does exist in the country. But instead of these players just kneeling for the national anthem, I would encourage them to do something about it like Colin Kaepernick has done. Colin Kaepernick pledged to donate $1 million and to this day has donated $700,000, which often gets lost in the media. Instead of misconstruing the protests for one way or another, I think it's important to call them what they are: legitimate protests that are good for our political climate. Thank you.